Imagine you're just 8 years old, and World War II is raging outside your window. Bombs are dropping, food is scarce, and all you have is a stray dog named Max. You feel scared, confused, and hopeless. What would you do in such a dark time? Perhaps find a corner to hide in, or beg for some food. But what if I told you that during those very dark days, an 8-year-old boy named Leo not only survived, but also built a fortune? Yes, his name was Leo, and his only friend was a stray dog he called Max. Together, they turned war's darkest days into an unlikely journey of courage, business, and kindness. And we want to share this amazing story with you now. It won't be easy, but join us on this journey and discover how these two friends overcame every obstacle through quick thinking and teamwork. You'll be amazed by their bravery and inspired by their resilience. Don't miss out. Let us dive into the heartwarming tale of how Leo and Max defied the odds and made a fortune during World War II. Leo lost his parents when bombs hit his town. He found himself alone in a world full of danger and despair. All he had was a few things his mom had left behind, including a bag of flour, a frying pan, and a scarf for warmth. Outside, planes roared overhead, buildings crumbled, and hungry stares followed him everywhere. In that moment of despair, little Leo sat by the ruins of his house, tears streaming down his face. The only sound louder than the bombs was the rumble in his empty stomach. At that moment, he felt completely alone until a pair of kind eyes appeared above the ruins of the fence. It was a stray dog looking at him hopefully. Leo had no food, but he shared his last piece of bread with the dog. From that day on, the dog stayed by Leo's side, becoming his loyal companion and protector. He named the dog Max. But soon, the reality of the situation hit Leo hard. He couldn't keep begging for food forever. He needed a plan to survive, and that meant venturing into the heart of the war-torn city. Days turned into weeks, and the little boy quickly ran out of his mother's supplies. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, reminding him that begging was not a long-term solution. Looking at Max, whose ribs were now visible under his fur, Leo knew he had to act fast. One morning, armed with his mother's frying pan, Leo ventured into the city center. The closer he got, the more he heard the rumble of tanks and the shouts of soldiers. Fear threatened to overwhelm him, but the thought of a warm meal spurred him on. To his surprise, amidst the destruction, he noticed a group of well-dressed women gathered around a cafe. They seemed out of place, yet they attracted Leo's attention. Observing them, Leo realized that despite the war, some people were still trying to live as normal a life as possible. He watched as they sipped hot drinks and ate pastries, seemingly oblivious to the chaos outside. An idea sparked in Leo's mind. He remembered his mother used to make delicious bread, and he still had some flour left. Why not try selling some bread to these women? With renewed determination, Leo went back home, grabbed the flour, and headed back to the city center. Using his mother's old recipe, he kneaded the dough, shaped it into loaves, and put them in his frying pan. It was quite heavy, but the thought of a full belly kept him going. Back at the cafe, he approached the women cautiously. At first, they ignored him, assuming he was just another beggar. But when Leo politely offered his warm loaves of bread, their faces lit up. These women were tired of eating dry rations, and Leo's fresh bread was a welcome change. Before he knew it, all the bread was sold out, and his pockets were heavier than they'd been in a long time. That day, Leo learned his first lesson in economics. Survival is about using your resources wisely. Instead of begging, which is unreliable, he discovered the power of spotting demand and filling it. The women wanted something better than what they were used to, and Leo delivered. The next morning, armed with his frying pan, a box of bread, and newfound confidence, Leo returned to the cafe. However, he noticed something interesting. A long line of men had already formed outside. These were officers and wealthy merchants who craved a bit of luxury in the midst of the chaos. They were willing to pay a premium for Leo's simple bread. Realizing the potential, Leo decided to expand his business. He spent the money he earned wisely, buying more flour and a larger pan. He even hired a couple of older boys to help him carry the load. Over time, Leo's reputation grew, and so did his customer base. Soon, people from neighboring cities heard about the little boy selling fresh bread in the middle of a war zone and made the journey to buy his famous loaves. As his business grew, Leo faced new challenges. One day, a group of mean soldiers approached him, demanding that they work for free. Threatening to take his earnings by force, Leo felt trapped. What could he do to protect his hard-earned money? That's when he came up with a brilliant idea. He took a break from selling bread, focusing instead on polishing shoes. The officers and wealthy merchants who frequented his cafe were always in need of shiny, well-maintained shoes. Seeing an opportunity, Leo purchased some polish and began offering shoe-shining services. Word spread quickly about the talented young boy who could make your shoes look better than new. Soon, lines of customers were waiting for Leo's shoe shines. His reputation for quality and speed grew. Customers didn't mind waiting because they knew Leo would deliver. During the busiest days, Leo was so focused on his work that he barely noticed the soldiers approaching. When they asked for free bread, he politely refused, explaining that he worked hard for his money and didn't give it away for free. The soldiers, surprised by his courage, decided not to cause trouble and left empty-handed. Leo's first lesson in value exchange. Every 2 minutes, war tested him. One day, soldiers tried stealing his earnings. Instead of fighting, Leo hid coins inside Max's collar. The dog became his living bank. Suspense followed them always. Leo would pat Max before leaving for the market, instructing him to bark furiously if anyone tried taking the collar. It worked. Bullies twice tried snatching the coins, but Max chased them off, growling fiercely. Leo expanded his business slowly. He bought bread cheap at dawn, then sold sandwiches near train stations, or to soldiers heading to the front lines. It's retail. Buy low, sell higher. When demand grew, he hired other kids orphans like him, paid them wages, creating his own tiny workforce. This was management organizing people for greater output. Leo didn't stop at money. With Max beside him, he opened a soup stall for poor children. He funded it with profits from the wealthy. True business, Leo told Max, means lifting others too. He was learning social enterprise without even knowing the word. However, Leo's joy knew no bounds when he saw the smiles on the children's faces as they enjoyed their warm meals. Their gratitude filled him with a sense of purpose that went beyond just making money. Leo and Max continued to work hard, helping those in need and building their fortune, year after year. The little boy who had once been afraid to venture out alone now owned one of the most successful businesses in the city. His story became a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. But life turned bitter. After 8 years of struggle, Max the dog, who had been his partner, protector, and friend, grew old and died in Leo's arms. For the first time, the boy who survived bombs, hunger, and bullies cried like a child again. Yet Max's loyalty became his final lesson. Relationships are the greatest investment. By the war's end, Leo wasn't just a survivor. He was a millionaire in today's terms. But more importantly, he was respected as a young man of dignity, who taught that, even in the hardest times, courage, strategy, and kindness can build an empire. So kids, remember Leo's path. Spot demand, use capital wisely. Manage risks, care for people, and never forget loyalty. That's not just history, it's a roadmap for your own future.